Hello there guys! On this video, with the help of some funky graphics on Canva, I'm going to explain exactly how liquidity works and make it so simple that my mother, who is almost 80 and she does think that cryptocurrency is voodoo, she will understand this, and so will you guys. So we're going to be making liquidity really easy to understand. It's a complicated subject, but by the end of this video you will get your head around this and it will finally make sense. Before we get started, I do want to plug my website tokensbygen.com. If you need a cryptocurrency making for your project, I can create it for you. We have a token factory. You can choose a standard token, a reflections one, or a rewards token that gives your holders another BEP20 token. It's pretty cool. We have some really unique codes, some fantastic sniper bot protection. We have some automation features, loads of stuff to protect you, protect your contract, and protect your buyers. I am fully doxed. I've done a KYC with a couple of companies I can't think what they're called. Coin Sniper, is that right? That doesn't sound right. Anyway, you can see my KYC certificates if you want to. You can come and chat to me on Telegram, and of course you can see me here on my YouTube channel, so you know who your developer is. You can ask questions, and if our token factory doesn't meet your needs, we can do a completely custom token for you. So get yourself over to Tokens by Gen, take a look and see what we can do for you that you're not going to be able to get elsewhere. Right, let's learn about liquidity. Let's make liquidity finally simple. So here we go. These little dudes represent, over on this side, the people that are waiting to buy your token. They've heard about a new project that has come in. They're very excited. They got their BNB ready and they want to buy. This is you, staying up all night writing code in order to produce a brand new token. You got a little bit of money, and here in the middle, this bucket, this represents PancakeSwap, but in particular it represents your liquidity pool. Now that is a fancy name for the pairing of your token and BNB. That's what it is. At the moment the bucket is empty because we haven't launched the project, we haven't added any liquidity. So the first thing that developer does, they write some code, they deploy the code onto the blockchain, and that creates a brand new cryptocurrency. Voila! So there we go. We've created a new cryptocurrency that never existed moments ago. So now we've got to put our cryptocurrency and some BNB into PancakeSwap to create our liquidity. So we add our BNB with our tokens and we pop those into the bucket, and now we have liquidity right here. And in exchange for that, PancakeSwap create a brand new token. It's a little bit like a ticket as opposed to a token, and it's called CakeLP. Now it doesn't matter what token you've created, this ticket is always called CakeLP, but it's got a unique address, just like your wallet's got a unique address, and that is specific to the pairing of your token and BNB. So PancakeSwap make this ticket and they give it to you. And that ticket represents everything that is inside the bucket. So if you were to give them the ticket back, they'd give you your tokens and your BNB back. Simple as that. It's just a ticket. It just represents your liquidity. I know you've heard this before. Can you hear the dog? It's like, you've done this already. I know, but I made a mistake, so I'm doing it again. So be quiet. I promise I'll give you something afterwards. So we've put our liquidity into the bucket and we've got our CakeLP tokens. When people who are very excited in your community say, lock liquidity, what you don't do is this. You don't lock the liquidity. That's not a thing. You can't do that. What you actually do is lock the ticket that represents your liquidity. Now, because it's locked, you can't get it out and you can't give it back to PancakeSwap. So all these tokens and this BNB that's sitting in PancakeSwap, it's safe. You can't take it back out. So that's what it means when you lock liquidity. You're not locking liquidity, you're locking a ticket called CakeLP that represents the liquidity. Now, there is another option. We can also burn liquidity. Like so. So imagine that PancakeSwap actually gave you a little ticket and you set it on fire and destroyed it. You've not got the ticket anymore, so you obviously can't give it back to PancakeSwap, and they're not going to empty the contents of the bucket in your lap, which is all great. But we're going to pretend that this particular developer has not locked their liquidity, because this particular developer is a bit of a dodgy scammer. So there they are. They've not revealed their identity. They've added liquidity. They've got the CakeLP tokens and they're waiting for you to buy. So you come along and you put your BNB into the bucket and you take tokens out. So that's called buying. BNB in, tokens out. So that's what happens every time a person buys a token, like so. So we've got a couple of people that have bought. She invested 2 BNB and got 2 tokens, and this little dude invested 1 BNB and got 1 token. So even though the developer's done nothing, they're just sitting there, we now have 4 BNB and 1 token in the bucket, and this ticket still represents the entire contents of the bucket. So this corrupt developer basically only has to press 1 button. That is how easy this is. It's insane. So the developer presses a button, this ticket goes back to PancakeSwap, and PancakeSwap empty the contents of the bucket into their lap. So they've just turned 1 BNB into 4. That is a rug pull. Now these people over here, they have tokens that are worth nothing because there's nothing in the bucket. They can't sell the tokens because there's no BNB in the bucket for PancakeSwap to send them. So that is the way a rug pull works, and that's why it's so important that when you buy a token, you check to make sure that the liquidity is locked. So if our developer was a little bit more responsible, they wouldn't have done that. The tokens and the BNB would still be in the bucket. They'd still have the CakeLP. Let's make them a nice responsible developer again. And they would have locked their CakeLP tokens maybe for a year or so. Now, when they lock the CakeLP tokens, you can extend the lock at any time. So if you lock them on DX app or on Pink Sale or on my website, when you do that, you can go back to your locker and you can add some more time. So you could lock for a year. After about 6 months, you could say, yeah, I don't need to redeploy. I'll extend my lock for another year. But if after 6 months you're thinking, well, I would like to redeploy my contract, crypto's changed, there's new things available now and it's not working the way I expected, you might want to do a version 2 of your token. And in that case, you would wait for the liquidity to unlock. You'd redeem your CakeLP tokens, you would get everything in the bucket. Now obviously that means that these people here have worthless tokens, but you would then deploy a new contract, you would match the previous one with the price, and you would send tokens to all those people. So it'd all be exactly as it was before, but you'd have a new token. So that's the way that you would do a redeployment. But that's really outside of the scope of this video. But what we are going to talk about is auto liquidity. So this is where we were. We've got our liquidity locked, but let's pretend that this particular token has auto liquidity. And when that happens, every time someone buys a token, let's just sell one. So this person's going to sell a token and they're going to get some BNB. So now they've got some money back. Hopefully they made a profit. So let's pretend that this token now has an auto liquidity fee. And this person buys some tokens out of the liquidity pool. So they get some tokens, but a very small percentage of that token goes over to the contract and it sits on the contract and it waits there. After some time, the contract processes the fees and it will take these tokens that are accumulated, it will split them in half and it will sell half of them for BNB. So it ends up with some tokens and some BNB, which are going to match the price of what's inside the liquidity pool. I'll tell you what, there's no way that my mother will understand this. She really wouldn't. And then this new liquidity is put into the bucket. And it's a tiny amount of liquidity, but PancakeSwap will create some more CakeLP tickets and give them to the owner. Now, these are not locked. These represent this little bit of liquidity, whereas this, which is locked, represents this bit of liquidity. So you see the difference. So if the developer was to redeem this ticket, all this liquidity is locked, it's safe, but the developer would get this little bit out. So what the developer needs to do is every time it adds more liquidity from the contract tokenomics, and the developer keeps getting more of these little CakeLP tickets that represent the newly added liquidity, every now and then the developer needs to lock those If they build up too much, if it's more than 30% of the total liquidity, then on PooCoin you'd get that red warning sign that says liquidity is unlocked, and that's going to cause a little bit of panic and people are going to start selling tokens. So you do have to keep an eye on it. You do have to lock those tokens. Now I do have a liquidity locker. At the moment I've taken it down because I want to add some new features to it, but if you were to use my liquidity locker, what you can do, which is really, really cool, is your initial liquidity is going to be locked. And when you get new liquidity, rather than it coming to your wallet, you can actually set your contract so it goes straight into your existing locker and you never have to think about it. And whatever time you put on the lock to open, when it does open, the auto liquidity and the initial liquidity, they're all there for you, so it's all ready. So your liquidity that's coming out every time you are adding fresh liquidity with your tokenomics, it's all going into the same locker, all fully automated without you having to do a thing. So that's just one of the features that I've got on my own tokens with the new liquidity locker when it's ready, that enables you to have your contract automated. So there we go, guys. That is how liquidity works over on PancakeSwap. Nice and easy. The takeaways from this is just think of PancakeSwap as a bucket. There's tokens in there. There's BNB in there. When people buy tokens, they put BNB in. They take tokens out. When people sell tokens, they put tokens in. They take BNB out. Whatever's in the bucket, PancakeSwap gives you a ticket that represents the entire contents of the bucket. And if you give them the ticket back, you get the entire contents of the bucket. But if you lock that, let's just get rid of these ones. If you lock the ticket, you can't give it back until the lock opens, so you'd have to wait. If you burn the ticket, then you can never give it back. So your project's nice and safe. If you're a dodgy developer, you're probably going to leave it open, you'll give it them, and you'll just get a shitload of money for doing nothing. Now, that probably sounds like an attractive thing to do. I think that one day someone will come up with the technology where they just press a button and it goes through the blockchain, it's all recorded, everything, and it just goes through all of the scams that have happened and it traces wallets and connects things, and it finally reaches you, and then someone will come knocking on your door. You can make a lot of money in crypto by just being a good guy. You can make a lot of money by being a bad guy as well, but if you did that, you're always going to wonder if there's going to be a tap on your shoulder one day and you turn around and there's people waiting to take you away. I mean, I wouldn't want to be sitting on a luxury desert island that I'd bought from ill-gotten gains. So if you do the right thing and you're a good developer and you don't steal people's money, you can still make a lot of money. You can still have a lot of fun. You're not going to get death threats. You're not going to get sent to prison. You're just going to help people like these to turn their tokens into lots and lots of lovely money, and hopefully more money than when they bought them, so that they all make a profit and everyone feels great. That is liquidity. I hope this video made it clear. It's a very, very complicated subject. It does get much more complicated than this. What's in the bucket is not linear. When you put things in the bucket, the price shoots up. It gets kind of crazy. So you've never got to worry about running out of tokens. The last few tokens or fractions of tokens would cost millions of dollars. So it is complicated. When you're launching your project, you've really got to talk to the guys that are providing your launch platform, get support from them, ask their advice as to how many tokens you should put in your liquidity, how much BNB, the amount of tokens that should go into your pre-sale, all of that stuff. There's loads of help out there. Did you hear him again? It's like, this is so boring now. It's been like 20 minutes. Right, you just got to get the help from those people. Whether you go into like Genpad or Pink Sale or wherever, all of those places have got Telegram groups. There's great support staff in those groups. Only ever talk to the admins. You don't want anyone who's trying to trick you into anything, but ask questions, because it is a complicated subject. And it is people's money. A lot of people that invest in crypto, especially on BSC, they're people that come from poor countries and they really cannot afford to lose money. So you don't want to make any mistakes that means you're putting their money at risk. And I see it all the time. I really do. If you're not sure, just ask people. You can come in my community and you can ask people in there. There's some great people in there that offer advice. Or of course, if you're using a launchpad, talk to the people that made it. Talk to the support team and the admins. Get as much advice as you need so that you understand what you're doing and you know why you're putting those numbers in there, what they mean, and what that's going to do for your particular project, so that hopefully going forward, your project is a success. Take care, invest safely and wisely. If you haven't joined our community yet, get yourselves over to the GenTokens community on Telegram. There will be a link in the description of this video. And of course, if you do want a token, then you can create one at Tokens by Gen, nice and easy, or you can contact me if you need something that is more custom. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.